Hi, my name is Amelia Ortiz Gil, and today I will give you some hints about using the universal design for learning in astronomy education. Every day we have to deal with a lot of diversity in our classrooms. Each student is unique and has a unique learning style. Some can even be differently abled, but all of them have also unique learning strengths which are closely related to their unique learning styles. Therefore, to get the most out of them as students, we need to take into account everyone's uniqueness. So the question is, how can I teach to all this diversity together? Well, the answer, as the title of this talk reveals, is the universal design for learning. The way to teach to a diverse group, according to the UDL, is by removing any kind of barriers, which could be physical, sensorial, affective, or cognitive, to gain access, learning, and participation for students. This is more clear in the case of students with disabilities. The key is not to focus on the disabled person, trying to change them, but on the disabling environment by removing barriers. We all have experienced this in some degree. If the text in these slides were too small, you would not be able to read it. You could use some sort of glasses to fix your vision, or I can modify the environment by using a larger text font, and then you'll be fine. So the key to address diversity is multiplicity. Provide multiple means of representation, provide multiple means for taking action and communicating, and provide multiple means for engagement. Let's see each one of these in detail. First, provide multiple means of representation. As different people perceive and understand information in a different way, we must provide the contents through different perception channels. An example of an activity that follows this approach is the planetarium show, The Sky in Your Hands, that we have developed some years ago. There is a visual element, the projection of constellations onto the planetarium dome. There is a tactile element. I have a sphere with constellations engraved on it. There is a soundtrack with particular sounds associated to different constellations. And we have also included closed captioning. This covers the needs of the blind and visually impaired, and of those hard of hearing, but also of those who are not native speakers, or those who find it difficult to focus, or those who simply enjoy touching the sky and feeling the shapes of the constellations. We also need to provide multiple means for taking action and communicating. This is because students differ in the ways in which they navigate through the learning environment and communicate the thoughts. So we have to give opportunities for taking action through materials everyone can interact with, and opportunities for communication through software and other means. So for example, without these alternative means for communication and interaction, Professor Stephen Hawking would have never made his extraordinary discoveries about the universe. We also have to provide multiple means for engagement, as students differ in the ways in which they can feel engaged and motivated to learn. So we can make use of broad choices that reflect the students' interests and provide them with strategies to deal with new contents activities so they feel confident that they will understand and learn them. A good way to engage your students is, for example, by taking advantage of the virtual reality technology, as in the example I show here in this image. It is from Chandra's project, Walking Among the Stars. Let's see now an example for a general protocol in UDL. The three main points to take into account would be to teach to all the senses, to teach to strengths, and to provide multiple forms of feedback. Teach to all senses. Everyone has a preferred learning style. In fact, there are as many different learning styles as learners, as we have said at the beginning. Everyone has his or her own way to learn. And this is often usually linked to a particular sense. Some students remember better what they see, others remember better what they hear, or some others what they touch, for example. And several research works have shown that we learn and remember better the information that we have acquired through more than one physical sense at the same time. Teach to strength, that is, use the natural abilities and talents as a foundation for learning, or in other words, focus on the abilities and not on the disabilities if there are any. Finally, to find about your students' strengths, you need also to provide multiple forms of feedback to gather a complete picture of a student's abilities and check whether the contents are being acquired correctly. Now, I do not have much time left, so let's see some specific actions that you can carry out. First, you should check with the students about their special learning needs before starting. Take into account that if you help those who are in the extremes of the learning spectrum, you are also helping those in the middle. You also have to make sure that the activities, resources, and equipment are physically accessible to and usable by everybody. For example, hearing the written information that the students are reading at the same time will help everybody to understand and remember it better, in particular those with reading problems or the visually impaired. Provide a variety of means to deliver content, motivate, and engage the students. This can be done through hands-on activities, collaborative learning, inquiry-based learning, educational software, internet-based communications, and so on. Make sure that the communication methods are accessible to all and perform group activities in which students have to support one another by placing a high value on their different skills and capacities. This helps them a lot to build up their self-esteem. It is also very important to ask for feedback from the students regularly and then adjust the activity accordingly if needed. In relation to that, the teacher must plan for alternative accommodations for students whose learning needs are not met by the activity, for example, by providing materials under other formats. And I will finish here. To learn more about UDL, you can visit the site of the US National Center on Universal Design for Learning. And to look for specific examples, I recommend you read the document that NASA published some years ago, Space Sciences for Everyone. You can also download the resources for the planetarium show, The Sky in Your Hands. These two last resources have been developed for people with disabilities, but as I said at the beginning, if you are able to reach those in the borders of the learning spectrum, then you are reaching also, and better, those in the middle. Thank you very much.